What is up, YouTube? This is KingCobraJFS with another video. I went and saw Animation Domination. Great episodes as usual. Particularly one in question the newest episode of American Dad, where Stan's fighting to join his boss's social circle, if you will. Haley gets a job at Roger's bar, and yeah, you know. Anyway, so for the past couple of days, I've actually ordered a replacement CO2 magazine for my gun. It should be getting delivered here tomorrow, even though I already got here before. Like last week I got here, and because I wasn't here to receive it and sign for it, I have gotten a two notices from the UPS saying, you have missed our delivery. So if I can get it tomorrow, and when I do, I'll show you the difference between, you know, the broken one and the new one, tell you how it went down, and then shoot the damn pistol for the first time again with an actual clip. Also, I got my tax money back. It made about $910, so that's not too bad. Definitely still have to pay off a month of rent, because that'll definitely come in handy. But may or may not be getting a side-by-side 12 gauge within the next couple of weeks here, depending on how it all plays out. If they can Josh, you don't need a gun. Beg to differ. For one thing, we've had a couple people peeking on our window here at the apartment on more than one occasion, so there's that. And you know, I've always wanted a gun, and a side-by-side shotgun is relatively easy to check if it's safe or not. You just push the safety off, clip it over, you know, like that, through a little receiver, and just push it this way. It clips open. You look on the inside of it and you go, oh, I can see down both barrels. It's obviously unloaded. But yeah, I went and did some pricing, and Sportsman's carries them for about $400, and 12 gauge, I've seen it before. It's a gorgeous gun, pretty fucking heavy. If you want something bad enough, you gotta save up for it. So I'm either saving up for it or using my some of my tax return money for it. Oh, I'm drinking some Blueberry Rockstar and some of that Jim Beam honey. Pretty good stuff. If you also saw the newest episode of American Dad, that did in fact feature a movie clerk who was in fact also a stoner. They didn't have to mention it in the episode. I could tell he was a stoner. His eyes were all pink. He had a, what? Sort of. One of the awesome secrets about me is that it takes a lot of weed for my eyes to become excruciatingly red. I could smoke 4 bowls of some really good shit, and my eyes will not be red. They'll be white as snow. Which is really convenient for me if I want to go do shit in public, and I don't want people knowing that I'm intoxicated. But you know what? There's this Declaration of Independence of ours. It starts with we the people. Okay? It's my personal belief that as an American we should have the freedom to smoke weed if we want to. But that's just my opinion. You know. If it were up to me, okay, I would legalize every drug out there except crystal meth, and then I'd raise the minimum wage. Put a bunch of warning labels on the harder shit, offer treatment for the harder shit, instead of filling over prison cells with drug offenders, because that's really what our taxpayers' money needs to be going to at this point, is paying prisons to, you know, publicly house drug offenders. Yeah, I did get kicked out of Job Corps for smoking weed. If you see my documentary, I did go over it a bit. And it kind of pissed me off on the hypocrisy level, because about 4 months before that, I had an incident involving a student who has a history, mind you, the student has a history of choking people out. And he just happened to be repeating his history on campus to one of my dorm mates. I didn't like the fucker, but he was still part of my dorm, so I'm like, hey, why don't you pick on someone your own size? He goes, well, what are you going to do about cylinders? I'm like, nothing, you know. Because I realized that I couldn't do shit. I fucking choke him for a staff member to walk by and see me, you know, kicking his ass, I get trimmed. They wouldn't care if I was sticking up for someone's rights. So I started to walk away. This fucker chokes me out. He's half my size. I could have easily ripped his fucking head off. I decided not to, for better lack of judgment, but I was still pissed about it. I came in to trade rather angry, and my instructor noticed it, and he said, Josh, what's up? And I told him what happened. I apologized to my trade mates for the way I treated them because I was understandably upset. My instructor, Mr. Wolf, he goes, you can press charges. I'm like, can you? That is awesome. So I go to press charges on staff, saying, hey, so-and-so physically abused me. I know this is Job Corps, right? And Job Corps, one of their things they preach so hard was zero tolerance policy for bullying and harassment and violence. The 3 things they let go on their very campus, because it's just the system, dude, plain and simple. Snow is a person who has a history of choking out people. The person he was choking out to begin with was a minor. So adding insult to injury, he has a history of violence, and he's choking out a minor. The person who was choking out before me dropped out of Job Corps, and he got off scot-clean. No hours, no nothing. Ain't that some shit? Normally when you're bad at Job Corps to a certain extent, people give you hours. It's like detention for Job Corps students to sort of work it off. You know, going around campus, cleaning it up and shit like that, raking leaves in the fall, shoveling snow in the winter, mowing lawns in the summer, you know. And don't get me wrong, it can be a great program if you don't let it get to you. But then a couple months later, I was smoking some weed with some friends of mine at Job Corps, and this jacket leader comes out and busts us for it. And what's ironic is this jacket leader that busts us for smoking pot also smokes pot. You know, he'd go off on weekend pass and smoke it and come back to center and not say shit about it. Kind of frustrating if you ask me. And what's even more ironic is this very same jacket leader that busted me for smoking pot was also the one that stopped me from committing suicide at Job Corps. I ironically had a slip knot. I had a guitar tied in the slip knot around my neck, and he stopped me from killing myself. And of course I had to talk to staff about how I wasn't going to do it again, you know. Well, a month later, after I attempted suicide, I met Stephanie, so you see how life can change for you. Of course, when everyone heard about my suicide attempt on campus, they all started talking to me, including some of the chicks. And before I met Stephanie, I'm thinking, well, I should attempt suicide more often. The opposite sex is actually talking to me. But seriously, though. So, there was 4 to 5 days in a homeless shelter after Job Corps kicked me out, and I was back to Casper. And my dad was livid that I got caught smoking pot, which I find a little ironic, considering that my dad once told me that he smoked pot once, and he said he didn't care for it. He was more into drinking when he was my age. You know, he told me so many drinking stories, it's not even funny. So the hypocrisy of it does piss me off a little bit. You know, I called my dad from the homeless shelter and told him what happened, and he's like, well, you got 2 weeks to get out of work cutting their hair. My hair was as long as it is now, down to my shoulders, you know, and I get back to Casper, and my dad's like, you're cutting that hair. I'm like, oh, well, almost 2 years later, I have a job, my hair's back to its regular length, and here I am today. So, it hasn't been an easy transition, mind you, but I made the best of it. And that just proves the system's corrupt. And you know what, to this day, it still pisses me off, you know, and they let Stephanie finish. You know, Stephanie did an awesome job graduating Job Corps, completing her trade in computer tech, you know what I'm saying? It's pretty awesome. Only to get a job that's not in her trade, ironically enough. So, you know, that's just the thing, too. I could be making $14 an hour doing an office job, but I'm making $8.50 an hour and still just grateful, you know what I'm saying? So, well, today at work, I had to take a food safety test, which generally I don't associate with because 95% of the time I'm not even near the sandwiches. You know, I'm doing other stuff in the store that doesn't involve work with the food, but because I'm an employer there, they require me to take it. And I failed it a good 4 times before the 5th time I finally got it, you know. And that made me feel stupid and inadequate as a coworker there because I didn't know half the shit they were listing, you know. Ugh. But it is what it is. You know, and I had to tell my dad that was the first time I smoked pot, because I knew it'd issue a fight. I knew it'd issue a, oh, where did I go wrong as a parent? My son's a drug addict. Yeah, recently, me and my dad haven't exactly been fighting, and I like to keep it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm tired of the bullshit and drama. If it wasn't, before getting kicked out of Job Corps, usually the fight's over something stupid like, oh, your hair's too long, you're wearing eyeliner, I don't like what it represents, stupid shit like that. And it didn't exactly make for an easy household growing up, but it didn't make it for the worst household growing up, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. But the cool thing is that I live on my own now, so I can make my own goddamn decisions because I pay my own damn bills. So, yeah. Now, the first time I smoked pot was my senior year in high school. I was on lunch break, and my friend, we went to a store to pick up cigarettes, and my friend pulls out this little keychain pipe, and it's got some green shit in it. And I'm like, what is that? And he goes, it's pot. I'm like, can I try some? He goes, yeah, sure, why not? I tried it, and ever since then, I've been a huge fan. I view it as a much healthier alternative for my Asperger's as far as helping cope with it than any prescription pill you can give me. And I can tell you that from personal experience because growing up as a kid in the 90s, they didn't know what Asperger's was. They didn't know what the fuck was wrong with me. So they're like, what's wrong with Josh? What makes him tick? So for most of my childhood, I pretty much spent it popped up in pills, different pills. They just give me pills to fix it. And didn't really fix it, did it? No, it didn't. I can tell you right now that this drug war is a waste of fucking money. It is. If you take tax revenue that every state that's legalized makes and multiply it by about 56 states, you get a shit ton of money. And that kind of makes you think for a second that maybe this drug war isn't worth it. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think taxpayers who don't like marijuana may not like it, but the truth of it is when you bust a pothead and your tax money goes to put them in jails and shit like that. So, yeah. I'd much rather see those jails filled up with, like, serial killers and shit. I'm not talking like you get stoned, you get the munchies, you kill a box of serial killer. I'm talking legit, Ted Bundy type shit, you know what I'm saying? But no. Then think about this for a second. Because marijuana is illegal in Wyoming, in Colorado it's not. The first dispensary near Wyoming is like an hour and a half away from the Cheyenne border. So we have cops out there whose job it is to sit out there on the border all day and make judgment calls and make sure that marijuana doesn't get into our state. It's going to be a fun job. And honestly, their job could be better spent busting real drug addicts, if you get what I'm saying. Meth heads, you know what I'm saying? Straight up. And what made it worse is that Job Corps told my parents all he did was complain about the program. Okay, let me re-differ on that for a second. There were times I did bitch about Job Corps, but I never complained about it. I made light of the situations going on there. Like his situation, for example, that went on there. We had an incident where students were selling the prescription pill Dramamine to each other. This one girl we knew at Job Corps OD'd on Dramamine and ended up going to the hospital for it. She doesn't get termed for it because she was in the hospital, but the person selling the Dramamine to her does get termed. And because there's so much drama, bullying at Job Corps, my joke was, why, if Job Corps were a drug, it'd be Dramamine. Ha ha ha, nudge, nudge, nudge. Of course, the humor of it was kind of incorrect at the time. I didn't care. And it's just frustrating. Like, you go to a meal, and you come back from the meal, and all they do is complain about how much it sucked. I never complained about the food. Not once. If I saw something on the food menu I didn't like, I didn't eat it. Plain and simple. And this one day, this person asked for a cigarette at Job Corps, and it was like my second to last cigarette on that pack. And cigarettes at Job Corps are like gold, basically. I gave him a cigarette, and one of the ejaculators was like, you shouldn't give cigarettes away like that. People take advantage of you. And I turned to him and I said, you know what? I've noticed this at Job Corps. 2 or 3 people have a bad day. By the end of the day, the entire campus is affected by it. Not shitting you. It happens every time. If 2 to 3, even one person has a bad day, by the end of the day, everyone on that campus was pissed off. You could tell. Okay? It was ridiculous. So I turned around, said that, and I said, you know what? If I can make one person's day just a little bit better, then at the end of the day, if everyone's happy with it, then fuck yeah, awesome shit. But it is what it is. The biggest story at Job Corps, I should tell you, that really pissed me off is since meeting Stephanie, I realized that I could spend more time with her at Job Corps if I stayed out of trouble. I made the connection rather quickly, so I made the conscious effort to, quote-unquote, behave myself. Now, my 21st birthday was coming up at the time, and this is the only time I took weekend pass off of Job Corps, and I filled out the appropriate documents necessary to request for weekend pass. And I've been doing pretty good for the past couple of months. I mean, at the time, I wasn't in trouble all the time. I was doing pretty good to stay out of it, actually. And I had a staff member who said, I don't think you've earned the right to go on weekend pass. Do you have any hours? And I told her, I said, no, I don't have any hours. And she goes, well, I want to give you some hours just to prove that you're mature enough to handle going on weekend pass. And I hadn't done anything to deserve the hours to begin with. So, yeah, I was a little pissed off. I'm like, all right, whatever. I get the hours worked off at the very last second. I'm done. I go to the staff member. I said, she goes, okay, you're done. I'm like, cool. So I run back to my dorm, get all my shit for weekend pass ready. I go to meet my parents for weekend pass. And I got dorm staff going, oh, Josh, you can't go on weekend pass. I'm like, excuse me? He goes, don't you have hours to work off? I'm like, I just got them worked off. Talk to so-and-so about it. So he gets on his walkie-talkie and talks to the same person who said I was okay to go on weekend pass. And you know what she says? No, he didn't work off the hours for me. And after I just got done working off the hours, too. I was beyond pissed. I was like, are you fucking serious? And dorm staff looks at me and goes, well, Josh, if you go on weekend pass, you do realize you're going AWOL, right? Which basically means when I got back to campus, I'd have hours, even more hours. I said, it's my 21st birthday. I'm going. Okay, fuck all of you. And I basically spent the car ride into town getting lectured by my dad about misbehaving at Job Corps and yada, yada, yada. I tried telling him some shit, like, and he goes, I don't care. He wouldn't even hear me out. He would not hear me out. He's just like, I don't care. It's the rules. You still got to follow it. I'm like, okay. So it's been a long-ass car ride. My family's hungry. I'm a little hungry myself. We decided to stop at Perkins to eat. And here's where the hypocrisy gets even more delicious. My sister Tina tries ordering out the kids' menu, and the waitress looks at her and goes, how old are you? And she tells her, and she goes, sorry, you're too old to order up the kids' menu. And my dad was pissed about it. He's like, this isn't fair. She doesn't eat that much at the restaurants anyway, and he just wants to save a couple bucks because the trip's expensive. Understandable, right? And he sits there bitching about it, and food gets here, the bitching stops, we all eat, whatever. Well, last day of my birthday weekend, if you will, don't get me wrong, I was incredibly grateful for the fact that my parents took time out of their busy lives to take me out for my 21st birthday. I enjoyed it. It was fun. However, dinner at the Outback Steakhouse, my dad is still bitching about it 2 or 3 days later. Okay? And I had a couple peach margaritas in me, so I was a little drunk. I turned to my dad and I said, Dad, it may be the rules, but you still got to follow it. And he's like, who the fuck are you to talk to about following rules, boy? You shut your fucking mouth, you and great, and just blah, 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 blah. I'm like, and about a couple months later, I get kicked out of Job Corps for smoking weed. Yeah. And the situations like that, I've had situations like that in my life where it was out of my control, and it was not in my favor at all, and it was completely unfair. Like, you know what, that's life, it sucks, but like I said in my documentary, I'm Josh Saunders, this is my Asperger's, I'm making the best of it, legal as weed. Straight up. Straight the fuck up. So, despite the fact I've been screwed over a lot in my life, you know what I'm saying, I don't let it get to me. There's always a bigger picture to worry about. So yeah, I'm a little upset that Job Corps decided to pull a huge dick move on me and pull that shit. And what's even worse is that staff that hated me were actually acting a lot nicer to students after I left Job Corps. Ain't that some shit? And here's what tops it off of all the grandest ironies of them all. Okay? A lot of the students at Job Corps were saying I shouldn't have got termed. Yeah, go figure. But it is what it is, YouTube, and life's gonna throw you curveballs like that. It is what it is, and it does suck, don't get me wrong. But you don't let it affect your life, you know what I'm saying? You can't, because life's going to throw, like I said, life's going to throw curveballs like that, and the best thing you can do is, you know, not let it get to you. Let me explain something to you. If you have Asperger's, basically your brain has this chemical called dopamine. It's a chemical that makes you feel less depressed and a bit more happy in life. Because of my Asperger's, my brain does not produce enough dopamine, which as a result makes me depressed about 95% of the time, socially awkward among other things, and they call marijuana dope. That's another name for it, coincidentally enough. Another name for Asperger's is high-functioning autism. Go figure. And now they got 34 studies out there that have shown that marijuana kills cancer. Yeah. And what's ironic, too, is that this Job Corps campus, like every Job Corps campus in this entire country, has a infirmary, if you will, or basically a nurse's office that gives you prescription pills. You know, if you have medication you have to take, and Job Corps gets in touch with your doctors, and then they give you the medication in the nurse's office. Ain't that some ironic shit? I didn't have, you know, in my Job Corps experience, despite some of the negative crap that went down there, wasn't actually that bad. I actually had a good time at Job Corps, you know what I'm saying? I made some good friends, met some good people, and, you know, had a good time at Job Corps. I didn't, you know, it was nice to get that year and a half away from home to kind of leave the nest in a sense. But it sort of prepares you for the real world, Job Corps does, because you notice that, here's the thing, I went to this lady before I started Job Corps, and she's like, oh, Job Corps is nothing like high school. They actually, and I was skeptical at first because I've been through a lot of situations in high school in particular, where the high schools would say, they drag everyone, the entire goddamn school out of class to have an assembly to tell us that we here at so-and-so school take harassment and bullying very seriously. This is a harassment-free school zone. Everyone has the right to a harassment-free education. Okay, the same Schmidt at Job Corps, obviously. They pull everyone off campus into an assembly to tell us about sexual harassment and, you know, harassment of other natures and shit. And 9 times out of 10, when they're confronted with it, they haven't done shit about it because they have X amount of students and only so much staff that can handle it. So here's where Job Corps had the bright idea to go jacketed leaders. These leaders that walk around with a blue jacket enforcing the rules of Job Corps. If they saw you misbehaving at Job Corps, they could give you something called a write-up. And write-ups could add up. If you got an X amount of write-ups within a week, it goes to dorm court of sorts, and then they determine if you have hours not to work off for the multiple offenses. And you got those jacketed leaders that were breaking the very same rules they were enforcing. Hypocrisy to the extreme. And they always got away with it because generally 9 times out of 10, if you have a jacket on your back, staff tend to take your side more than if you didn't have a jacket, because technically you're supposed to uphold the rules and make Job Corps look good. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, there were some times that Job Corps was a little frustrating. But like I said, for the most part, it wasn't all that bad. So, and I did respect a couple of staff members on campus just because they were fair. They weren't going to pick sides. You had a lot of that, unfortunately, in Job Corps. A lot of staff members are going to pick sides, and 9 times out of 10 they pick the jacket leader side because, like I said, they're wearing this jacket that says they're supposed to uphold the rules of Job Corps. So, yeah. So, there was this one time Job Corps was hosting this dance, and this particular dance had smoke machines and dubstep, so yeah, it was pretty fun. Before I went to the dance, though, I'd huffed a shit ton of cologne, and I was high as a fucking kite. I'm sitting there going crazy, just enjoying the smoke machine dancing, you know. I get off the dance, I see a staff member's bike parked beside, a pedal bike basically, parked beside the gym. I asked him to take it for a joyride. This happens to be an ex-Navy SEAL's bike, staff member's bike. One jack later catches me. He gets pissed off at me. I get off the bike, alright, here, have it. He yanks it. In the process of making it, he cuts his hand, and I get blamed for that on top of stealing the bike, right? But I get to this meeting. They're like, "You took so-and-so's bike for a joyride," and the bike I took, he was sitting there. He was so pissed. He's like, "You know what? I'm gonna keep my mouth shut because I'm in the Job Corps uniform, representing Job Corps. Anything I say, you could tell he was pretty pissed off." Punishment for that required cleaning out the storage above the gym, reorganizing it, and I did a pretty good job doing that. But one time I was up there, and I noticed there was a bike rack full of bikes. One of them decided to fall off a shelf on its own accord. And about 4 minutes later, or 4 seconds later, I should say, I saw a shadow figure, all hooded up and just standing there, hands outside, like, looking menacing and shit. I'm like, if you're trying to scare me, you'll try harder than that. It disappeared, and about 2 seconds later, one of those foldable, actually, there was a basketball hoop that moved first, this foldable basketball hoop, and then about 2 seconds later, that's when the bike did move off the shelf. And I laughed about it, and you could feel the anger from this energy intensify for another 4 to 6 minutes, and then it stopped and went away. And that's the most mild ghostly encounter I've actually had at Job Corps. So I've had a lot of ghostly and supernatural encounters at Job Corps. So, yeah. And Job Corps, my speech is a little slurred. And the Job Corps at the campus they had the music room. You could take your guitar down, plug the amp into the wall, and just start jamming out. So me and a buddy of mine get together. We start jamming out and open the window, and all of dorm 4, which happened to be the girls' dorm, I start singing, he started playing guitar, vice versa. You see every chick in that dorm, or excuse me, young woman, it's a more professional way to say it, you see every young woman out there standing out there listening to it, rocking out to it. I'm like, yeah, dude, this is awesome. Job Corps even offered the occasional talent show tryouts for a talent show we got to perform for the entire campus. The first time I got on there, I was nervous. I didn't make it, understandably. The 3 times after that, I was less nervous. The second time, the song was too violent and dark for the talent show, understandable. Then the 3rd and 4th time, I picked songs that were not violent or offensive, and I didn't make it on. You know, I was kind of bummed about that, but at the same time, I'm like, really? And each time I tried it out, you know, people were excited for me. They're like, hey, sorry, did you try for the talent show? I'm like, yeah, awesome, dude, hope you make it, you know. Oh, all right, cool. And then, you know, people seemed legitimately bummed out when I didn't make the talent show. And, yeah, I was kind of bummed about it, but I didn't let it get to me, because I realized that bigger and better shit, right? But, yeah, you know. So if you get a chance to try out Job Corps, I would not recommend it up front, but if you can put up with a lot of drama and bullshit, this is one campus, mind you. This doesn't mean all campuses at Job Corps are like that, but I'm giving you a heads up that the lady who said that Job Corps is nothing like high school, it isn't. It's worse. The assholes that pick on you are the assholes you live with in your dorm. So there's that factor as well. You know. So it is what it is.
I don't know what someone's banging on.
I don't know. And then I get a call from Stephanie saying that some of the Job Corps students are got to go in town on some official Job Corps business, whatever that may be, for their trade or whatever. Those of them who are old enough to go to a bar got to drink and then go back on campus. I'm sorry, but that's alcohol on center. That's another zero tolerance policy thing. So again, I heard this and I was like, really? Wow. But it is what it is, you know. Despite getting kicked out of Job Corps, I'm still, you know, managing to make it on my own, you know. It is what it is. They say things happen for a reason. I'm going to Job Corps for a reason. If I hadn't gone to Job Corps, I probably would have met Stephanie. You know what I'm saying? Just a thought. But, so, again, it does kind of suck that when shit like this happen. I mean, you know, you look at it and go, well, what the fuck? You know, it feels like you're getting screwed over in a sense. And, you know, in a way I did get kind of screwed over a little bit. But at least Job Corps was nice enough to pay for my bus ticket back to Casper, so I can be here talking to you right now on this YouTube video. But the interesting thing about that is that day when I stopped that student and I told that student not for choking on another student, he may have gotten away with it, but that night I had dorm court for wearing my shoes past a certain point in the dorm. You know, it's one of those silly, minor, inconvenient rules that didn't really make sense to me, and for lack of judgment understanding, at the end of a long-ass day, the last thing you want to do is, you know, when you take off your shoes, is you take it back to your dorm. So basically, you have to walk into the dorm, each area where the shoe rack's at, you just take off your shoes, and then from there you stick your shoes on the rack or put them in your room. I had a habit of walking past that shoe rack and just walking to my room and putting them on. And every time someone catches me, they'd be like, Saunders, take off your shoes. I'm like, wow. So to me, and this is the thing too, is every morning before we went to trade, we got up super early to clean the entire dorm, basically. It was part of, you know, the Job Corps experience. They offer you free room and board, and they pay you a very, 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 very small amount of money. And they give you free food and free room and board. And the only difference is that, you know, they ask you to do a couple of things, and you do them. So it is a great program. It just has its moments where it can be frustrating, and if you stick it out, and the first day you'll get there, if your campus you go to is very big on drama, they'll tell you to ignore the drama. But again, when the entire campus is going through the dramatic bullshit, and you're sitting there trying to go, what I'm going to ignore it, you know, it's kind of hard to ignore it when the entire campus is like that. You know what I'm saying? And staff isn't doing shit about it. They'll sit there in assemblies and sit there and say, well, Job Corps has students have a right to a harassment-free education. You got students choking each other out for the fun of it because they can. You got students selling cigarettes for $1 to $2 a front for when you get paid on a payday. Packs of cigarettes at Job Corps were $20 a pack because you lived out in the middle of fucking nowhere, and the in-town trip was a good hour and a half away. So yeah, with the stress the way it was, people either their smoking addictions got worse, or people ended up starting smoking because it was a way to cope with the stress at Job Corps. And the selling of cigarettes got so bad at Job Corps that if students were caught doing it, they'd be termed. Yeah. I'm like, you're more concerned about terming students for selling cigarettes, but when some student chokes on another student and has charges pressed on them, you won't term them? To me, that seems like Job Corps has got its priorities twisted, but this is my opinion.
Megan texted me saying Miranda's going to come pick us up at 8:30 or 9.
Cool. Cool.
And if Miranda's okay taking us to Taco Bell, then yeah. Awesome.
But at the end of the day, you know, I reflect upon my life, and I go, you know what? I got this awesome kick-ass apartment. This building, particularly, was built in like 1938, and that's right up my alley, dude. I love old-ass buildings, so I love this apartment. This apartment kicks ass, all right? And at the end of the day, I got an apartment. Me and Stephanie got a roof over our head, clothes on our back, and food in our stomachs. And if I'm able to make that work, then at least I'm doing something right. You know what I'm saying? So. But Job Corps is available for people who can't afford to go to college, who are just going nowhere with their lives, and they need, you know, some sort of structural plan. It offers you a variety of trades to take your profession in, and stuff like that. So, yeah. On a side note, I did go to Bible study for a brief period in Job Corps, just to learn what Christianity was about, so I can go in there and learn the facts before I go off judging them so harshly. And one story came up where the pastor was talking about, this is a pastor that drove to the campus to teach the Bible, basically. And this pastor was talking about this family of his who went to his church in town at the time, and he's sitting there saying that this family has a daughter who's basically a vegetable. You know, she's on dialysis and shit, and they're praying awful hard for her to get better. And I asked him, and I said, what if she doesn't get better? What if she dies? You know, how could someone trust in a God like that would just do that kind of thing? I ask questions like that all the time because I was very curious. I wanted some straightforward answers. He didn't give me straightforward answers. His biggest answer was, well, God works in mysterious ways. I wasn't buying it for a second, to be honest with you. So, yeah. When I got off work, I took about a 3-hour nap, and I feel a lot better now. It's always good to nap and shit. And I was having a very weird dream, just random occurrences. One particular part in the dream, I had a staff in my hand, and in this dream, I was this evil wizard who was killing off Christians, and I enjoyed the fuck out of this dream. I was like, fuck yeah, this dream's awesome, right? I got to a part where I pointed my staff at someone, something shot on the end of it, and ended up killing this person, and then took this person's corpse and took my staff and pushed it off the edge of this balcony where all these steps are at. In the dream, I'm watching it happen, this corpse flying to the bottom of the stairwell going and just exploding into nothing, and then walking away laughing. I'm like, this dream's awesome. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. So, just a weird ass random dream I had, you know. I wouldn't use my magic to hurt people in real life unless they absolutely deserved it, though, because when you have magical powers like I do, it's a privilege, it's not a right. You know what I'm saying? So. I can remember when I was in junior high, though. I started making wands, meditating, and practicing and centering my mind and shit. And it's paid off a lot, you know, as far as, yeah. So, again, if you're going to do some shit in your life similar to what I've gone through, as far as the whole job corps thing goes, or you're experiencing any kind of drama in your life, my best advice to you is to say, fuck it, it ain't worth your time stressing it. Because at the end of the day, if you can come home to wherever you live, you know, and thinking about life's bullshit for a couple hours and just relax, then it's worth it, you know what I'm saying? And again, you have total control over your life and what happens in it. It's just a matter of figuring out what you want and making it happen, okay? I want a 12-gauge side-by-side shotgun. I got tax money coming in that I could use to pay off rent, but at the same time, I don't know when exactly it's coming in. So if it comes in right after the end of the month, you know, I got to be prepared for that. So each check that me and Stephanie are getting, we're sticking money in a safe place to get money saved up for the entire month so we can pay off our rent for the next month. So we can, you know, be productive members of society. But wait, you smoke weed and you drink alcohol. How are you a productive member of society? Okay, again, that's a cliche that society has pinned upon you. Okay? I'm just saying. I may be out of weed right now, but I got alcohol, so not complaining in the slightest, you know. Not complaining at all. Well, anyway, this is KingCobraJFS with another video. Thanks for watching, and see you all later.